Okay, and we are live. Right, guys. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Jay's Big Chat with me, your host, Jermaine AKA Jay. And joining me on this lovely day to talk about the big topic that is men's mental health, we have D'Angelo, John, and Jake. Guys, thank you very much for joining me. And we're literally going to dive straight in. Are we good to go?
Yep, good.
Yeah. So obviously we're a panel of men. It worked out that way, not intentionally, but here we are talking about men's mental health, and I think it's a great occasion to be able to do this, because it's not always been a thing that I guess you see much of. So when we think about men's mental health, start us off, like what comes to mind?
Who you want?
Anyone? Anyone, just jump in.
Okay, I guess it's me then. Men's mental health. I'd just say, well, we're not the most open of the two sexes. So pretty much, men's mental health is just a traumatic experience that you've had to deal with, or insecurities. There's so many. It's like how far down a rabbit hole do you want to go with it? But the biggest problem with us men is we don't want to accept it. We don't want to tell anyone about it, and we don't want to. We feel embarrassed, almost like ashamed.
Yeah.
That we're somehow inadequate. Like we've got this, as if like it's okay to have a physical health problem. But if it's a mental health problem, it's like, whoa, that's so bad.
Yeah.
But I've got news for everyone. Everybody has mental health. Every last one person on the planet has some form of mental health.
The two of you think that's a fair statement to make?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I mean, even from my point of view of kind of a fitness background, I did a YouTube video actually a couple of days ago. I get a lot of guys that use exercise as a way of dealing with the mental health. I get the other side as well, where guys feel really paranoid about how they look, but they feel embarrassed. It's kind of like it's accepted to go to the pub and drink 10 pints of vodka, but you can't say that you're not happy with how you look. It's that kind of thing. I've had guys message me, even to the point that they don't want to get naked in front of the other half, and maybe there's issues there because these guys see other guys on Instagram airbrushed, and they think that's the normal, and they're feeling inadequate. I mean, even from my point of view, I was a bodybuilder for 9 years, and I did the whole picture thing, and everything was airbrushed. I wish I looked like that. When I was like, who's this guy? And it was me, and I was like, whoa, I look like that. And they've been airbrushed. I think social media has got a lot to answer for. I really do at times.
Well, I mean, now that the limelight's on you, if you can just fill the viewers in a little bit about you and how you kind of come into this chat about men's mental health. Just let us know a little bit about yourself. Yeah,
my name's John Clark. I played football till I was 24 for various clubs, Derby County, Doncaster, Chesterfield. I finished playing football and I went I started going to the gym as part of rehabilitation for an injury. And from that, I got into bodybuilding. So I was a bodybuilder for 10 years competitively. I did the UK BFF under 80 kilos. From there, I got into nutrition. I did a diploma in sports science, then went into personal training, and now I have my own gym. Lockdown took it away. I opened the gym 5 months before lockdown.
Oh wow.
Savage. That is savage.
My gym, I lost everything because I couldn't get any government funding because I hadn't been going long enough. So then I ended up going to online coaching, and that's where I am now. And I do body training.
Awesome. I mean, that's a massive list of things that you've done, and obviously what you're currently doing. But yeah, thanks for joining us. We'll get into more of what you do as the chat goes on. we've obviously got two of us here. We've heard from Jake already. Do you just want to, I guess, fill the viewers in a little bit about yourself as well, and how you kind of come into this chat?
Is that for me or Jake? I'm sorry.
That's for you.
No,
for
Jake.
me.
For Jake. Yeah.
Oh, for me, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. My name's Jake. I'm from London, Essex, and currently a HGV driver. And again, like the last guy, big into gym. I've done competition, UK BFF as well, but that's for men's physique. And I sort of, like I said, I was 15 years old. Wanted to get bigger. Had like a problem with people like bullying me and stuff like this, like thinking they can, rough me up because I was small.
Yeah.
And, and when you got like a heart and you don't want to back down and you're pride, like mine is up here somewhere, that then, I was like, I got to get bigger. I spoke to my dad and he was like, yeah, you got to get bigger. So that was it. I was doing Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, then I was going weights. And from there, I just started to go more and more and more into the sort of weightlifting, bodybuilding, because the way it made me feel. I started to realize my temper was just so much. I was more mellow as a person. Like I could get all the anger, all the frustration that I built up from school and outside school and stuff like this, and family issues. And slowly it was like a therapy, but I didn't know I was getting therapy at the time. I was just like, this making me feel good. So I stuck with it, because we all, humans, that's what we like. We like things that make us feel good, and we tend to stay around that.
Yeah, that's a massive introduction, because this is talking about not just what some people might see as a hobby, the gym. This is, as you mentioned, like therapy. So I've got some questions to touch on that, because that's really interesting. But yeah, I guess we can bring D'Angelo into the equation. If you just let the viewers know sort of where you're from and a little bit about what you're about.
No doubt. Thanks again, Jay, for having me on here. My name is D'Angelo Taylor. I am from the U.S., right outside. I'm from Fayetteville, North Carolina. That's here in the U.S., but I'm actually based right outside of Washington, D.C. I'm a licensed professional counselor, and I have a private practice that is based in Washington, D.C. So as a licensed professional counselor, as a mental health therapist, psychotherapist, wellness coach, lifestyle consultant, man, I really help people, figure out, how to overcome the hurdles that they are faced with in life, whatever barriers that might come up that's preventing them from really being their best self, that's really prevent them from living a happy, more fulfilled life. So, whatever that is, I help my clients who they come in for anxiety, depression, relationship issues, help a lot of men who's struggling, just trying to figure out, what to do next, whether it's my career, whether it's my relationship, or, why do I feel like I'm stuck right now? But my background, the reason I'm even here is the fact that, I've realized, what it's like to not have someone to talk to. And I realized what it's like to have someone to talk to, having that space created where you can actually express and discuss what's going on. This is definitely thanks to my stepdad, who's he's a therapist himself. So, having him, be that role model, and having like people, frat brothers who've been serving that role, who've been great mentors as well, has really helped me, understand this is something that's really needed. And, without having space created, would I have really been able to grow into the person I am today? I was still trying to figure it out if I didn't have that guidance. So knowing that, there's people like myself, men like myself, who need that guidance coming up, and, even adults, how helpful that is. But Jay, I want to answer your question really quick, man, because you mentioned what comes in my mind when we talk about men and mental health. I mean, I think one of the biggest things is just the stigma, and I think it was Jake who kind of touched on that, the stigma that are attached to mental health, and as it relates to men seeking that help and talking about their problems.
I think that was before we came live, though, so I'll touch upon it again.
Got you. But that's huge, man. And, I think that kind of just goes back to, even my reason being in this field is, for one, to kind of help eliminate that stigma, but to, let men know it's okay to really seek out that help. What both of you guys, things I've heard, man, going to the gym is something that's definitely therapeutic for me. And I can definitely say, man, if I miss a day at the gym, I kind of feel like I'm off, man. I don't feel like myself. I feel like I'm losing that confidence that I initially have, man. So with that, and even having a healthy diet, eating, watching what I'm eating, all these things that help me feel like I'm my best self. So those outlets are definitely absolutely necessary, as well as just being able to talk about and discuss what's bothering you, what's going on. I think that I want to just say one more thing really quick before I pass it over, because John had mentioned something that was really cool, how he mentioned his clients would talk about things they're struggling with. And, the fact that he can create that space and help, these people come talk about the things that's bothering me. And, obviously he has a solution on how he can help them. Same with Jake, I think that's big to be able to create that space and have people open up. So I want to just throw that out there, man. I think that's really dope.
Yeah. I mean, based on pretty much what you guys are saying is, this thing is real. But if we had to take away the word sort of meant from the mental health, and we just say mental health, for a lot of years you would never sort of picture men in that bracket, because they would almost exclude themselves, or we would almost exclude ourselves because of the stigma that it raises. And of course, that's society pressure, that's pressure from the family and so forth. How can you be struggling mentally and be a man? You're meant to be the provider. You're meant to be this big, strong individual who can take on the world. So let's talk a little bit about that stigma, a little bit about how that's possibly changing or have changed a little bit over the years. But even still, has it really? Because the stats and statistics show, not just here in the UK but sort of globally, that is devastating, that more than 80% of the actual suicide rates due to mental health is men, and this is across the globe. So obviously there's still an issue here to be tackled. But yeah, what's your sort of view on the stigma and where we are with it now?
I think you hit the nail on the head with when you use the term the provider, the one that goes out and the sort of breadwinner. That's the way that men have been seen. And again, even within like what I do, the rise of like alcohol use, it never fails to surprise me. And then I dig a little bit deeper with certain clients, and there's always like an underlying issue. Even substance misuse, and then it sort of kind of comes out, and it's a release. But as we all know, it's a temporary release. I just still think for some guys out there, it's still seen as an embarrassment to not be able to provide, not be able to buy the children certain things. It's almost, I think a lot of guys don't know where to turn with it, and it is like you said, it's sort of like even with some guys that have got really good jobs, the will say, what more do you want? You've got money, what more do you want? But they don't realize what's going on upstairs.
And that's a very good point. What can be perceived from one individual as the lifestyle to have? So the money, the success, what looks to be all the ducks sort of lined up nice and neatly, and you wonder, wait, and he still killed himself, or oh wow, and he's still self-harming or so forth. Why is he not happy? So that's a big one, isn't it? The things that we see, or the way that we see people, and not really knowing the struggles, and that's because I guess we need to realize, as Jake mentioned, that we're all struggling in one way or another. It's just in which form are we struggling, and how.
And I think people need to realize that struggling gives you growth. Struggling doesn't make you a weaker person; it makes you a strong person. Sure. But people seem to think it's like they're, I don't want to say maybe the word victim, but they feel like I shouldn't be struggling. I should be like these guys on social media, or that seem like everything's going their way. They've always got all this luck, success, and it's me over here working 60 hours a week, just making my rent, paying my bills, and and people sort of, even if they could have a partner, they're sitting there like, why can't you be like them, or whatever, you don't, you can, even them, or you're comparing, why can't I be like them? Sometimes we put the pressure on ourselves. Like we feel like
I was literally going to say that it's the pressure, isn't it? It's the pressure that we are, I guess that we put on ourselves, but also pressures that society and our surrounding, individuals will put on us as well.
Do you know how you can see that is actually a true thing with like social media and like how everyone's able to see what everyone else is doing now, but and it's called first world problems, because if you go to these third world nations, like if you ever go on holiday, they always look happy. They got nothing and they're happy because they don't have to meet an expectation. They're all poor, so as long as they got some food and some clothes and their health, they're still blessed. But yet here we take that for granted. Like, well, that's nothing. Even the poorest person, can get NHS and a benefit system. So everyone has the basics. So now everyone wants from the basics. Now they want to live that like baller lifestyle. Look at me. Mm-hmm. Where in these other nations they haven't got that, and no one's expecting them to be like that.
Yeah. So I mean, if and it may be different, and this is where I want to see where the contrast is in terms of how we've grown. It may be different in the US to how it is here in the UK, and it will be quite interesting. I can give a little bit of background when it comes to sort of a Caribbean upbringing as well. So when we kind of look at where we are now, obviously it has to have started somewhere, and as most things do, they start in home, or they start from up top politically somewhere. Someone makes some decisions and it trickles down. Of course, we're talking about men here and the mental health. So if we have to go sort of way back when men were, when those roles for a man was, the provider, the breadwinner, the strength of the family and so forth, right? So you couldn't afford to be seen as weak. So of course, this then sort of stems and goes down to generation and so forth. And then here we are today. But the question is there any sort of, I wouldn't say hope, but is there a break in the branch somewhere, do you think, that's come in or has come?
100%. I can say that from years ago, there was much more struggle then than there is now, within just everything. Yeah, that struggles as in, the basics. They had to go and struggle for just to get the basics, where now we get the basics given to us. But they had their families intact. They used to go to church. They had like a brotherhood, like a fellowship of people that they could actually, everyone talk to each other and felt like they had a little community. Where now we don't have that. We basically, it starts from the dads are not in the home. So now the children have just got the mother, and they're lucky if they even get to see their father. And so they've got no mentor in that sense, because we know that men are the teachers. Women, they're like nurturers, but we teach our offspring. And the women tend to, especially our sons.
Yeah, and that's a strong statement. And I made a similar statement previously, and I guess you guys can, voice your opinions as well. And obviously, I grew up with my mum and brother and sister, and sort of when I reached my 20s, I did say to her, I said, "You did a fantastic job." She taught me how to be a decent human being. Now, as good of a job she's done, she could never teach me how to be a man, because this, as much as she's been around men, as much as she has an expectation or a view on what a man should be, I see it now with my son that, my mom could never have taught me that. And it's sad, because of course it's not always going to be the situation in which you can have both parents. But yeah, you're right. It definitely it has got a point and or a part to play in, I guess, where we are now. So yeah,
especially with the statistics being so ridiculously high now, I think it's well over half.
Yeah,
In
no,
the
it is.
UK anyway. So if
Yeah,
you've got 1 in 2
yeah,
men not being raised by their father, then you're gonna have issues. There is gonna be issues from that.
yeah.
100%. Imagine.
Sorry, go on.
Oh, no, it's okay. Go on.
I was going to say, based on John and D'Angelo, obviously you're both within sort of, you're dealing with clients on a daily basis on a professional level as well. So of course, you guys hear all sorts of stories, and I'm sure it varies, but I'm sure there's also a correlation between a lot of the stories. How do you sort of help how do you sort of help individuals who come to you with certain issues that they're afraid to talk to, or speak out about, or how do they even get to that point where they're actually open with you?
Right. I think, first to get a person to open up is, building that trust and building that through rapport, just being able to talk and find commonalities, and just, we don't have to hit the heavy stuff first off. Let me just get to know who you are. What is it that you like to do? What do you enjoy doing? You work out, you like games, you like this, you eat that. Cool. What are your strengths? So finding out some of the basic information before really diving deep is how, and I guess maybe for you guys, it could be different. Could be, well, we're in the gym, we're already in a common area, we're already in this common place. So, yeah. That's one part of it. But I think another part too is, once we build that rapport and we start diving deep, is trying to really understand that background information on the person, understand their upbringing, their relationship with the parents. Was there a dad? Was there not a dad? Was there a mom? Was there not a mom? Was you raised by a single parent? And what that looked like. And if you was, did you have like a male role model or a model in place of that parent? Because, as I spoke for myself, my stepdad was somebody who was able to step up and really, kind of, help me and provide, that I guess fill that role that I needed as a relates
that masculine touch, they call it.
Exactly. So I definitely see that. But that doesn't necessarily mean if a person grows up without a father that they're going to automatically suffer, from extreme.
100%, no.
Yeah, it's in the same for, and then outside of that, thinking on a different scale, what about that mom who did struggle? What did she go through? And what traumas did she experience herself? So I guess when you look at the basis of mental health and man, we also looking at layers of trauma, not just from maybe a missing parent, but just layers of trauma from things that maybe that parent that you had, their habits and things they've been through and what was passed down, or the environment that you grew up in and what was kind of carried over to you, and what behaviors and things that you learned or avoided.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff kind of carries over into like, how you kind of like, your journey, like how you experience life. So I think, we talk about, that part of it. I think that's where it plays a huge part. But I want to back up because one of the questions you asked, Jay, was, where are we now today? And I just want to answer that. I think we're a little bit better than we were before for the fact that we even having these type of conversations. I think that's the biggest thing, that we're actually able to even talk about mental health, talk about what's bothering men. And, like we said before, it was something that we didn't even really talk about. And we kept.
Do you know what? Do you know what just came to mind? Is it because of the old age saying like men don't have feelings, or we don't talk about feelings or show feelings because it shows weakness? Is what's your thought on that? Is that kind of how it was? You think?
How you say? Are you asking me that? How?
So it's if you're showing feelings. So for instance, now you're talking mental health. You're talking
the famous saying is man up, be a man.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the one we've all heard that one. Men don't cry, boys don't cry. Grow up.
Real men don't cry.
Exactly. That's not tough. And like, the fact is that all that stuff is false. We all have feelings. We all have emotions.
Yeah.
And like, when we're constantly told that we don't.
That's what makes us human.
Exactly. That makes us human. But when we're constantly told these things, it misdirects us on how we're supposed to handle our emotions. When we have these, and you're telling us not to, well, what do I do with these emotions that I really truly have that's buried deep inside? They're going to come out in other ways,
Yeah, you're programmed to now change your psyche and your brain.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, we've got D'Angelo, who obviously you've got your clients coming to you and for mentoring and so forth. And then we've got John, who's dealing with some really, we're talking a lot of the time, I'm sure, really masculine men, but still, he's able to have these conversations. And obviously, you've been doing it a while yourself. Have you seen the transition from, I guess, how many years ago to now in regards to like conversations about this within sort of what you do?
For me, everybody joins a body transformation for a reason. There's a reason. Usually, it's a focus, or to get rid of a distraction. Usually, it's something like a breakup, or they're in a real bad cycle. Lockdown taught us many lessons, and a lot of people were eating bad, drinking bad. There were a lot of people joined then. But going back to when I first started bodybuilding, it was literally the alpha male. It was about us getting, as big as you possibly could. And I think it was seen then, the bigger that you are, the more status that you hold. And again, that's probably why I started the gym. I'm only a short guy myself, I'm only 5'7". And, I could relate to what the other guy said, that, being one of the smallest guys in the playground, I wanted to be big. And that's probably my reason. But I definitely see a change now where guys especially clients, are becoming more open. Even with me, they come to me to get, a diet plan into a healthy routine. But I think possibly after about, 2-3 weeks, and we start talking and we have our check-ins, the people then start to open up with me. Because they can find you, I'm a neutral person. And then things start to come out here and there. There's always a reason. There's always a reason.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about the body transformation? Like what is that like?
Basically, the body transformation, it's basically a healthy routine that I get people in. So people have different, as I say, different reasons. It may be someone's going on holiday, or I've had people that I've had one lady, Karen, who joined me at 27 stone, and her health was in danger. She's now down to 17 stone, jogging around the block in 9 months. So everybody has different reasons. Some people, just get fit, but a lot of the time there's a reason, and that main reason is the distraction, because either go for a breakup or just something messy within their life. So what I do, I have a diet plan in place, a training plan. Running alongside that, I've got my own forum where me and another nutritionist run the forum, and it basically runs 24/7. So people will jump on there throughout the day. It's a good support network. We're all in the same boat. We're all doing a transformation for a reason. And
what's the name of the forum?
It's John Clark Body Transformations. So
okay, right, we'll put that in the description as well. That's brilliant.
Yeah. So yeah, and I have twice weekly check-ins with these people. We have a chat, how's things going. Usually, people will bring up the private life, and that's how it all opens up for me.
Sure. Yeah. That's interesting. And I think what I want to get into now is, obviously, I know a little bit more about you guys now, and what you do. D'Angelo, I know that, of course, you do sort of music therapy and so forth as well. It's funny how this is a massive thing. And in terms of outlets, let's talk about some of the possible advice and different ways in which we can deal with these mental health issues that, of course, we as men have. So we've discussed sort of, talking to a therapy or to a friend, a family, and so forth, getting those feelings out. We've spoken about sort of, going in the gym and taking it, releasing that extra bit of energy through the gym and so forth. But yeah, I'm interested in the music side of things, D'Angelo, how you kind of run that, and how, what you've seen since you've been doing it.
Right. So I'll say my process is almost similar to, kind of what, John had mentioned, as far as, say, for example, when I'm working with artists, they come in the studio for their first couple of sessions. And, we're vibing, we're making music. I'm learning more about them in this process. And then it comes down to, now, this is what just happened. I've been dealing with this death this whole time, or, I'm ready to give up now because this is what's been going on in the background. And all the other issues start coming out and start coming to the forefront. That's probably preventing them from really being able to give it. They're all within, this capacity in the music, or show up in other areas of their life, or whatever the case is. Or I'm struggling as a father, or I'm struggling, in my relationship. So a lot of these things come up, and, after we've met a couple of times, and now after they bring these problems up, now, okay, now let's transition from the music now, and let's get into something. Let's really talk about what's going on here to help you like overcome these issues, because a lot of this could be impeding on like what's going on as far as just your art and your creativity. Outside of that, just other areas of your life. So that's when we start diving a little bit more deeper into those issues. So overall, I want to say that the when we're talking about the different tools that are helpful, music is a tool. Like I mentioned, I go to the gym as a tool. Other tools for me, one I can say that has really been helpful is journaling, and being able to write, when things are going on, when I don't have anyone else to talk to, or I feel like, what, let me write this down in my journal, and I can, either come back to it, reflect on it, or process it a little bit better, or even bring this up to my therapist or someone that I need to talk to. Something I also recommend to my clients when there's things bothering them, or there's something they need to say to somebody. Well, if you can't just say it to them right then in that moment, write down what it is and try to process that, and like, allow yourself to really think about that some more. Sometimes just pausing, giving yourself that time, that little break, a couple of minutes, and just taking some deep breaths to reset can be really helpful as well. These are more in the moment type things. But as far as what's therapeutic, man, there's so many things that's therapeutic. I mean, I think everybody in here has their thing that kind of works for them. But there's things like going for walks, just talking to a friend, taking a vacation, all the way down to your favorite meal.
Yeah. No, I mean, and do you know what? I think you've mentioned so many sort of great tools and tips there. And obviously it all boils down to the admitting stage, isn't it? The first stage of actually saying to yourself, do you know what, I'm not okay. And I'm not okay with whatever it is. We've all gone through things as individuals that may not necessarily be, of I guess it's not public news. And some of us, I guess, are less or more private than others. So it's nice when you finally sit down and know that you can accept, actually, yeah, I'm not okay. So once you've done that, these tools and tips will then definitely help, why you're not okay. And 2 weeks ago, when I had a chat with two amazing people in regards to just general mental health, and they mentioned, the traumas that they've gone through as individuals, in their relationships. One sadly lost her mum, and that triggered so many different things for her. And the outlets that they found was completely different, but at the same time it worked for them. So I think the admitting and realizing, actually, I'm not okay, and it's okay not to be okay.
Exactly.
But yeah, it is. It definitely is. But then it's finding, and it's nice to surround yourself with people who who are on that wavelength as well, because you realize, oh my gosh, all this time, and I've seen it with a couple of my close friends. I'm like, after a while they'll be like, yeah, for the past like 6-7 years, I've not been on. You just would never know. You're just like, wow, you've put on such a good front, such a good poker face. So it's interesting. It's interesting that you guys have so many ways of expressing them. And I'm just wondering, based on the actual stats of where we are now with men's mental health, kind of where the silver lining is, because it's still, now I checked the stats from 2020, and it is so high compared to women in terms of turning to drink and drugs as an outlet, or taking their own lives because of it, or turning to gambling because of it as well. So there's so many negative things, and obviously that just makes things worse, and before you know it, it's too late. So it's massive, isn't it? Like, this topic is absolutely big. Have you guys got any sort of personal stories, advice that you want to sort of leave the viewers with, and any sort of ways in which these situations kind of had a positive outcome. It can be a personal story from yourselves or from, I don't know, a family friend, or a documentary that you read or saw. Anything at all?
I 100% would advise people, especially I'd say men, is to don't focus on these modern day celebrities. Try to understand that that's like almost treat it like it's a fantasy world, and try and find yourself value, like a channel that I recommend for most people to follow is Valuetainment. You'll find that on YouTube. And they talk about, he has so many great, his name's David, what's his name? Patrick Bet David, that's his name.
Yeah.
And he's from Iran. And then he tells you that he's had all the struggles, you know, from being an Armenian, Christian Armenian, which, you know, you're persecuted in Iran for basically, you know, being another religion. And then he went to Germany, and from Germany, he managed to get into USA. And then from there, he joined the military, and he changed his life around and become a multi-millionaire in an insurance company. So, you know, as us men, I feel like we've got to look at the man in the mirror a lot, you know, and instead of this victim, you know, mindset, and think that I can't do anything and the world's against me.
Let me just pick something on what you said there, because this is probably something that we can all relate on, because I know that you're all social media users as well, and we've mentioned it a couple of times in this chat. How much of even for yourselves, how much of an issue is social media to you?
Massive.
Or is it not? Is it
Massive. I mean, even from my point of view, online coaching these days, you know, everybody's an online coach, you can see. You know, I was finding myself waking up at 1 a.m, checking my phone, and then that's me awake for the rest of the night. Even from you know, a guy that tries to help other people, I fell into the trap myself and I didn't even know. I'm getting into bed, being on my phone, and next minute it's, you know, midnight, and then I'm checking my phone again. And it's so, for me personally, kind of like even took over my life, even with my home life, spending time with my partner and you know, baby. I'm at the dinner table on holiday on my phone, and my other half's going, "What are you doing?" And I fell into that trap. I like to actually say to myself, "Look, leave your phone," because it's dog eat dog. That's the problem. You know, everyone's trying to, you know, I guess, you know, live in this fantasy world. He's crazy. He's madness, and even I fell into it myself. You know, putting the picture up on, what am I doing? And he's separating it. You know, your private life and realizing what's real and what isn't.
Yeah, but John, you mentioned it when you mentioned that when you were doing the bodybuilding competitions, and you know, you were getting air rush and so forth. And of course, this is what sells, isn't it?
It is. And I always say to, you know, people say to me now, who knew me from competing days, "Oh man, you don't look like you used to." And I say to people, do you know how hard it is and how miserable you are to be in shape? I mean, you did, was it physique class? I think you did. Are you probably, I mean,
I suffered. I was on a treadmill for 2 hours a day. I had tears running down my eyes, and I didn't know I was crying. My body was crying. I didn't even know. So I said, "Oh, mate, you're crying." And I'm like, I'm suffering because of, you know, you can maybe relate to this, is we got such a different personality and mindset to a lot of people. When we get fixed in, we focus in on this, you know, we want to get to this 5-6% body fat. You want to throw a selfie, but you want people to be proud of you. And this is what happened to me. Is I went through my life where, like, I don't know if I want to go into it now, like a bit of my story, like where I had no parents pretty much bring me up, no one there to watch me win anything. So I just wanted to, then I realized, you know what, I'm sick of cheering other people on. I'm sick of looking at celebrities and admiring them. I want people to admire me. I want people to be proud of me. So it become this me, and F everybody else kind of mentality. It goes from one extreme to the other. And I think as humans, we have this issue where we can't find balance. Your body and mind wants balance.
Yeah.
And I prep a couple of people that, you know, are in the media spotlight and have been on, you know, reality TV shows. And even I see these guys suffering the same as we suffer. But when we look at the magazine, it's like, you know, you just woke up looking like that. But we're all human.
No, most days I woke up flat. I thought I'd lost all my muscle.
Yeah,
I had no glycogen, no water, nothing. I was dried, peeled. I felt terrible. I felt ill, malnourished. And when I looked really good, people were like, "Oh, you're amazing," but I felt terrible. So the better I looked, the worse I felt.
To maintain that look, it means being hungry and miserable.
Hungry and miserable, and I don't mean to be explicit, but you can't function as a man.
No, you can't.
You are empty. You don't. The last thing you want is any intercourse. You don't want anyone to touch you.
If I see a naked woman, I'd rather take the dairy milk. You know
yeah, 100%. Give me a Snickers. Give me a cigarette. I don't want to even. Yeah. I'm not even interested. I'm celibate at this moment.
That is. Do you know what that is? That's a massive. That's some massive information, because I've heard stories and I've heard, you know, people's testimonies and stuff like that. But that is the realest I've heard. You know, where you are miserable but you look good. You know, and you are getting the likes, and you know,
it's just like celebrities. Most of them are miserable. They hate their life. That's why they kill themselves so much.
Jay, I was taking my girlfriend for dinner, and she was having dinner at a restaurant, and I was bringing Tupperware out. Be that how embarrassing. But at the time, I thought, I'm focused. I've got this. Now I think, what?
But you know what? I see the good in it. I see his discipline. You know, discipline. You have like and you're focused. You have a purpose. Yeah. There was things that I have to take from it that changed me as a person for the rest of my life. I can do literally anything now. You can't put a task in front of me that I cannot fulfill unless it's out of me, like, you know, something crazy, advanced scientifically or something. If it's some kind of challenge you want to set me, I got it done. Because I did one of the hardest things you can ever do.
Yeah. See, where I've gone quite the opposite now, where I just kind of fell into like being a dad, being kind of healthy, and I just enjoy I don't know. I just enjoy being a dad now. I think things change. Cycle of life, I guess.
Yeah, 100%.
And to add to that, you know, I think part of all of this, and I made a post recently, is like, through this process, you know, what do you like about that process of getting to where you want to get to, the process of being successful, or, you know, being the ultimate bodybuilder, or whatever it is in your field. You know, what is it that you enjoy most? Because, you know, even after the fact, those are the things that's going to continue to provide you that joy ongoing. You know, whatever provides you that joy in the process, it's going to continue to bring the joy afterwards. But kind of going back to it as it relates to social media, man, and just kind of what it's done for me. I want to say, you know, when I first started on social media, I did kind of fall into the comparison trap. And that's exactly what it is a comparison trap. And, you know, we talked over and over how we are human, even celebrities kind of, you know, they face their own mental health challenges. You know, that's just what it is, you know, as it relates to being human.
I mean, even Britney Spears, she's in the limelight right now. You couldn't be more one of the most beautiful women, successful. She's, you know, she's like a sex object. They make her and a great voice. And yet she checked herself in, shaved her hair off, and now she can't even have her own money because of, you know, just it's such a massive story. I'm making it into a very small analysis, but it shows you could be the most successful person, have everything, and you're miserable. And you know, Elon Musk, you must know who that guy is.
Of course,
one of the greatest minds, you know, and of our generation. And this guy has deleted Instagram, Facebook. He only has Twitter just because of, you know, his business for his companies. And he turns around, he's made a video on it. You can watch him on YouTube. He's even crying, like, in the videos, how much he's suffered. And he says, like, he even feels when he's on social media, this is why he's deleted it, that everyone is highlighting that they're all beautiful people. They're all successful, they're all happy, they're all in lovely families and having great times. But this man has more money and success than any of them put together. He's one of the richest men in the world, and his life is nothing like theirs. So he's like, what, am I ugly then? Am I unsuccessful? Am I unhappy? You know, he started to question himself, his own mental health. So he had to take it upon himself and go, do you know what? I'm going to tap myself out of this matrix, because this is what we're in here. It's like a matrix. And we need to realize that, you see these phones that we have, he also talks about this, we're now cyborgs. We're not actually humans anymore. We're part machine, because you leave your phone in your house, go in your car, and you will turn around. You will be late for work. You will tell your boss, I've got to go get my phone. Yeah. It's now 100%. Part of who you are.
Yeah, 100%. You can't go more than 10 steps without, you know, seeing your phone in sight. But
just lose your phone and you see you're traumatized. It's mad.
Hey, to that point though, man, I think that shows that, you know, the mental health challenges, it's not boxed into just one particular group of people. Like it doesn't matter how much money you make, what you look like, what color.
This is a human problem.
Exactly. So social media as a whole, man, like I was mentioning, that it's a comparison thing that comes up. But one thing that John had mentioned, and this is something that happens to me, is that it takes you away from being present. And kind of like same for me, things that I find joy in just going out, having the sun outside, you know, just chilling by a pool or being by some water now. I find joy in the little things. But you know, sometimes it takes escaping social media for some time to really find out, like, what are the things that I truly enjoy.
The detox. You need that detox. It's a mental detox.
Exactly. Yeah.
I just took a detox last month. And I mean, I had my own reasons for doing it. For one, I wanted to be more present in my day-to-day life, but you know, I really wanted to focus as far as what I was doing career-wise, business, and just being present on my relationships. And when I tell you, man, that was so helpful, man, during that time, just kind of escape and take that break. But you know, I think that's what it comes down to, man, having some control over the social media and what we take in, what we allow, you know, ourselves to view, whether that's time constraints, unfollowing people that we keep finding ourselves comparing ourselves to. And so on and so forth. A lot of that time, you know, that brings up when we find ourselves in those moments, it gives us the opportunity to caution ourselves in those moments.
But I don't know if any of you have had this as well. You try to escape and follow all the people, but then maybe you have a partner or a brother or a sister or someone, and then they're trying to tell you everything. And you're like, I get angry. I start getting frustrated. I end up in an argument over it because I'm trying to fix my mental health, and I don't want to hear about this. Like, we have a program in the UK, stupid program called Love Island.
Oh no!
And it's so toxic, and it's just everything wrong with our nation.
Oh, D'Angelo knows about Love Island. Surely, there's an American version, isn't there?
Say it again.
There's an American version of Love Island, isn't there?
Love Island.
Love Island.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So you know. And you know, you do have men like it, but it's generally women that are like it because they generally do like drama. If you know, we have soaps like EastEnders, Coronation Street, all these in England, and they love to watch them because, you know, they do love drama. It's entertainment for them, but then they get something from it emotionally. Maybe I don't know the science of it, but I people don't understand how you know, sensitive and fragile the brain is. And so have you ever sat and watched a movie with your partner and something sad happens on the telly and she's crying her eyes out, but you're like, babe, it's not real. I know, but it's so sad. But your brain could not distinguish if that was real or not. It was so real to your brain that you cried. And the same is that we're becoming so emotionless and numb to like pain and suffering, where like we watch movies and you'll hear stories of people's parents and grandparents watching the old school horrors, and they would have to leave the cinema because they were so traumatized of what they saw that they left. We would laugh at that. What? Because we can watch a human get completely cut up, like into pieces, burned, the most horrific thing. You know, you can even watch a man rape a woman in a film, and it's nothing to us now. We're like, okay, and because we're becoming numb to stuff that we shouldn't be. We should be able to have, you know, some kind of feeling towards that, even like turn it off. I don't want to see that, and people will happily watch it, and they don't realize what they're doing to their brains.
No, for sure. You know, I think what we'll do now is, if we because my plan is to have one of these discussions at least every month, because it's such a massive topic and there's so many avenues in which we can tackle it from. And as we've seen today, there's like so many outlets and reasons as to why a man could be mentally ill. And again, it's not a stigma that you should be scared of or be embarrassed about. And it's quite interesting. And what we'll do is we'll just say our last final points to the viewers. And mine would just be, as much as we look after our physical health, I think it should just be natural that our mental health looked after. It's ludicrous and ridiculous that we don't have enough of this from our early years, within nursery and schools. We have our physical education and we have our, the rest of our education, our maths, English and science and so forth. But there's not a heavy sort of emphasis on mental health. And, I can remember being in school and the pressures and the traumas that we went through, but our parents would be like, you have no idea, wait till you're an adult. But really and truly in that moment, that was, whether the girl that you liked didn't like you, or whether the crew that you wanted to hang around with didn't accept you, or the sports that you wanted to play, you couldn't play because of whatever reason, and it affects you, and you take that with you along your journey, and you don't realize that 20 years has passed and you're still sort of traumatized about whatever it was 20 years ago.
That holds you back.
Yeah, 100%.
Living a fulfilled life.
Yeah, for me, my thing is, as dangerous as social media can be, the more sort of enlightenment we can produce with chats like this and things that you're all doing as well on your own pages and platforms. Surely there has to come a time where enough of us will, put out enough and within our families as well, because of course.
Jay, just quickly what you're just saying about us with the social media, because it's not going anywhere. So we have to understand now, we need to create a new, almost like valuetainment stand, yeah? But almost like, so you have celebrities, you have people, you need people that are like mentors, people where you go, do you know what, if I want the good stuff, I want to get into the reality of life, then I'm going to go and see these people. So we're like the new celebs, we're like the new influencers, because these people have had their time. And I do believe that over what we're doing here and the children growing up and the next generations, that they're going to start realizing, like, we're outgrown this. Everyone has phases and someone's in and then this is in. And I think that this is coming in now. The next people to come up are going to be like people like Joe Rogan, them sort of channels. You can see they've grown so much because of what he talks about.
Yeah.
People, I think, want help now. Everyone's seen success, and I think not everyone, but a lot of people are waking up to the fantasy world, and now we need the real world in social media. Yeah,
that's fantastic. As I said, we'll wrap up now. We'll let the viewers tune in next time. But yeah, guys, just leave us with a couple lines of encouragement, advice, and of course you can sort of plug what you do as well, your channels and so forth, that people can sort of, if they relate to your stories and if they relate to your character and so forth, that they can possibly reach out and see what you guys are all about. So yeah, no particular order, just sort of see us out.
I'll start off. First off, again, Jay, I can't thank you enough, and
pleasure.
John and Jake, man, thank both of you guys for all the knowledge and what you guys are doing. Just to close out on my end, I just want to say, make sure everyone follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and all my social media at Taylor for MSQ. Just kind of backing up with some things Jake said. I want to be able to show the world what's really going on out here, how you can really help yourself in these moments where you feel like you can't talk to nobody or there's things going on. Another thing I want to say, also is that there is a difference between therapy and things that are therapeutic. I think we have our outlets and those things that we find are therapeutic. Like for myself, music, going to the gym, and so on and so forth. But at the same time, when we're talking about really healing from things that may have happened in our past, whether that's trauma, things that, may have been left unaddressed. I think there's an actual process that really helps you address those things and heal in the correct way. And a good way to think about this, if you go out and break your arm and you don't go to the doctor, could possibly heal wrong or be
100%. Yep.
So that's one thing, is, I
that's
think
a good analogy.
Yeah, very good.
Right. So yeah, just keeping that in mind, have those outlets, but at the same time, realize the importance of actually finding a therapist and going to therapy.
Thank you.
Okay, how shall I go?
Yeah.
To me, my Instagram is John Clark Nutrition. For me, I can't express about the power of nutrition, the effect that it has on the mind. That's the angle that I come through with my clients. If you are struggling out there, just trying to get into a healthy routine, even if it's just getting up in the morning, going for a walk, but get out and get in. If anyone's struggling, you can drop me a DM.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Honestly, everything you brought to the table has definitely been beneficial. So thanks a lot for that. Yes, yourself, Jake.
And you can follow me on Jake Black 2020 on Instagram. Anyone ever feels like they need to just speak to someone that will actually get them, be able to actually help them, drop me a DM. I'll always reply. And never feel embarrassed. Never feel like you're not a man. And never feel like someone's, all right, you can go to the wrong people. Some people will judge you. But a lot of people now are understanding and won't judge you. You're actually more of a stronger person being able to speak about it, because that takes a lot of courage, and realize that you're not alone and you're not, you're one of the majority with this issue, not with the minority. It's just that people hide it well, so yeah, that's what I would take from it, is just find your purpose in life, focus on you, and focus on your goals. Like, distract yourself with goals. I find a lot of times if we can distract ourselves within trying to be the best versions of ourselves, a lot of the other things just kind of seem to go away, because you're not focused on the negatives, because you're on a positive journey. But a lot of people they're lost. And when you get lost, you make wrong turns, wrong decisions. You start second guessing yourself. So that's what I would say to people, all the men out there that feel like they're struggling.
Thank you. Honestly, I mean, what a way to sort of end this talk, because it kind of just summarizes everything that we've been speaking about. And as I mentioned, several times, this is an absolutely massive topic, and it's a topic that needs to be discussed more. And just to close with, just like our physical health, whether it's going to the gym or having a routine of where you're just keeping active, and we're conscious of this, we make sure that it's a lifestyle. I'm sure you guys get it all the time, where people say, "Oh, you're always in the gym," and it's like your second home. And it must be tough, and you realize actually no, it's just a way of life now. It's just lifestyle. You keep your body in check with your nutrition and with your workouts. And
I think this is, Jay. I think being in the gym, doing something, exerting yourself is the most closest to how humans are supposed to be. We're not supposed to be just sitting around. We've adapted to that. But if you look at how we was when we was in tribes all around the world, we was out there chopping trees down, building, moving, hunting. We was a few hours in the gym is compared to what
No, exactly. And until you get into it, then you realize, and anything physical. But I think my main thing is, individuals like yourself being open in discussions like this, and also open in your realms of work that you do as well, is a massive thing to see in 2021. And it will be interesting to see in 10 years' time, when my son is, he's already 12, so it's going to be 22. What life will be like for him as a man growing up. So honestly, thank you very much for joining me. And the next time we do speak, I hope you guys will join me again to talk about, this massive topic. But until then, thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
See you, mate.